He didn't fix himself, but he fixed us.
Bravo, bravo.
Go properties. Come on, you got this. There we go.
While
Okay.
you're doing this, can you answer the question of how you came up with the username Shrub the DM and also the adorable icon of a shrub with cool like sunglasses?
I will get into that in a moment for you, Ash. That's
Amazing.
actually, yeah, there's a whole story behind that one.
I'm not gonna lie.
Alrighty, guys. Welcome to episode 2 of Discussing the Dungeon. This is our bi-weekly podcast. The first one was like a month and a half ago, but it will be bi-weekly moving forward. However, it will also start. Also, thank you for the follow, Ashen. It will be starting on Tuesdays, not Thursdays, and the IRL Tuesday game has been moved to Thursday. So those are flip-flop positions. Anybody looking for a Roll20 game that they want to play, we will be starting another one that will be the opposite Tuesdays. God, I'm getting myself mixed up. Opposite Tuesdays as the podcast. If anybody's looking for that, join the Discord, !Discord in chat, we'll bring it up. Join the Discord, just go to the looking for group tab, and you guys can join that. That'll be hopefully starting in October, depending on how soon we can get the positions filled. Our Saturday game was supposed to be postponed, but instead I convinced my boss to let me start work at noon that day. So we will be doing our Saturday game, which is going to have an awesome art reveal. We had art commissioned. Morning, Kirak. We had art commissioned for the entire party for that one. So check that out. It's going to be pretty awesome. We're going to get to reveal that, and I'm going to be leaving my players on the biggest cliffhanger they have ever seen. One of the podcast guests tonight, Mr. Agent, who is also talking in chat down there, knows about this cliffhanger already. He is the inside man, and it is going to be all sorts of evilness. With that being said, I'm going to pull everybody in to where you guys can see us and let them introduce themselves. Okay, yep, there you go. So if you guys want to take a second, introduce yourselves. Shout out your streams and anything you guys want to brag about before we get into the other topics. Oh. That was loud. Whoever wants to go first, go first. Oh, wait, hold on. Apparently they can't hear you. Give me 1 second. No, it's not fine. I feel bad. Because now you have to say that all over again.
Shrub, you had one job.
I've had lots of jobs tonight. You shut up, sir. Okay,
Yeah,
can you hear them now?
Running a big show over here.
It's been a shit show is what it's been.
The whole OBS thing really threw a whole wrench in everything.
Yeah, you can hear us now, correct? Okay, cool. Ashton, if you want to restart all of that for me, because they didn't get to hear anything you said.
No problem. Hi, I'm Ash, or Ashen Rabbit. I stream on my own channel and do co-working streams where I do D&D prep. I also play games, which you can probably see. I tried Genshin Impact for the first time the other day. What a hoot. But I also am a player and a DM over on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/nat20. The word 20 is spelled out. I play in a couple campaigns there, as well as have my DM'd campaign there. It's a whole bunch of fun, and I'm excited to be here. Who wants to go next?
Agent said he wanted to go last, so I'll go. My name's Ray. I am Shrub's sister. I go by Puffy Paladin on here because I'm Puffy and I play a paladin in WoW. So, I don't play a whole lot of D&D, unfortunately. I was playing with with Shrub, and our distance is a little farther than we like, so we had to stop our sessions for a bit. I also play Magic the Gathering from time to time, and played WoW since Burning Crusade, so the RP thing is semi-strong with me.
Agent, you're up.
Agent!
You all know me. I'm Chaos in chat. I am one of Saturday's prime deities that either blesses them with heavenly grace or tries to royally fuck them over.
Yes.
That's me. I stream also over on Twitch. Here on Twitch, Agent Smartass. I'm Agent Smartass everywhere. Mainly Tarkov player. I dabble in some other games here and there. New World's a new obsession because it is amazing. Yeah, it's so good. I'm so glad the beta's out again.
I have yet to download the beta
That's
because I'm lazy.
I'm a
that's your own
mom
fault.
and I work, so I don't get to play a whole lot of games anymore, but I did put Dragon Age back on my computer, so...
The only reason I get to game is because I don't sleep. Okay, so Ashen, you asked how I came up with the name Shrub the DM. This is a
Yes, I want
very
to know all the details.
long and convoluted story, but
I'm here
it's
for it.
also like hilarious to me. So I used to be hardcore into the Real Sim Arma 3 servers, and I always played as a sniper / pilot. And I joined a server called Project Awesome. It was a huge group, great guys. I still talk to them from time to time. And I joined as their primary sniper, so I was always running around with the Barrett 50 cal and a ghillie suit. And somebody made the joke because I was crouched on a hill and it looked like a bush with this gigantic gun. And they're like, why does that shrub have a gun? So then my name became Shrub with a Gun for the longest time. I started using it for my handle for everything. Then when I decided I wanted to start streaming D&D content and actually start streaming in general, I decided that Shrub with a Gun didn't really fit the D&D thing. So I bounced around a few different ideas. Most people knew me as Shrub, so I wanted to keep that as part of it. And decided since I was going to be doing mostly the DM side of things, Shrub the DM just kind of worked. And then the original logo, I told my wife, known on the channel as Shrubette, who's over there hiding in the corner, that
So cute.
that I needed something that was a potted plant, like a potted shrub with, a dungeon master book. And we kind of talked about it for a little bit, and she drew it out on a dry erase board. And I took a picture, and for my first 5 streams, that was my logo. Was a crappy cell phone picture of a 5-minute dry erase sketch. And I liked the way the logo looked, so I just went through, made a better looking version of it on an art studio program, and here we go. Now also, I do 3D printing, and as a lot of the channel viewers know, if you hit !seeds, you can see how many seeds you have for viewing my channel. At the end of every 3 months, the next one will be ending in October. Actually, no, the next one ends this month. At the end of every 3-month section, I see who is at the top position of the seed leaderboard, and they actually get a 3D printed figure of the shrub logo that is about 5 inches tall.
Painted too.
Yes, painted, fully painted, beautiful little thing. Agent, you still need to get yours, huh? I haven't sent you one.
I do. Really to send out Grinds too.
No, Grind has his.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah. Grind was the first winner. You were the second. And I've just yet to send yours. Yours I might just, deliver, because gas versus shipping would probably be about the same price.
And you're supposed to be coming up this way soon anyway.
Hopefully. And then for Ray and Ashen, if you didn't know, the reason that Agent was talking about being a deity in my channel, when I stream, I have what's called Divine Deity running at all times. You can use channel points, bits, or cash donos to influence the games with nat 20s, nat 1s, and by casting spells all the way up and including Power Word Kill.
This is amazing.
That's awesome.
You can target
It's
players or
very
NPCs. It's great.
Especially if people start to, make decisions that you don't really want them to make because it's better for their will to do other things. You can just, hey, don't do that.
Yep. It has led to some amazing moments in chat, to be honest, or in the games. I think one of the best ones was a player rolled like I think a 23 on an athletics check to make a beautiful jump. I described it going beautifully, and then somebody, I'm not going to name names, decided that 23 was actually a nat 1. So then I had to describe, instead of their beautiful jump, their horrible tripping failure as they fell out of the tree they were trying to jump out of. And it drastically changed the outcome of that game. It was beautiful.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm so sorry I missed it.
Oh, I think that one's up in one of the old VODs. But also, I don't have links set up yet, guys. But I do have a YouTube channel now set up for Shrub the DM as well. So if you guys want to check that out, I will get links built to it soon. But you can just search Shrub the DM on YouTube. And so far, the only 2 videos are the last Discussing the Dungeon podcast and the Streamiversary post, which has a lot of downtime and stuff. I really should have edited it before I posted it, but I was lazy. So, moving forward. Okay, so this week we're discussing mostly roleplay. I want to hear some cool experiences you guys had. What makes you feel, or what helps you roleplay your character the most? Some of the do's and don'ts for roleplay. Agent, you're amazing. Thank you. Yes, Ray?
I can answer some of these. Okay. So, I am also a writer. I did not add that. I have finished my first book. It's with the editor right now, but my brain slips into roles very, very easily. Like if anybody was to watch me while I'm typing, I could stop and you might see my lips moving, or I like look off and I stare for a moment. Because in my head I have these conversations. So it's really, really easy for me to slip into these roles. I quite often talk to my characters while I'm driving, which probably looks weird to other drivers. I don't know. Anyway, so to come up with a backstory for one of my characters and then slip into that role, it's almost like I'm writing and then just sharing it that way. And it's so much fun because you can have such crazy, well-rounded characters that are nothing like you, and you get to play them.
That is honestly one of my favorite things about roleplay too, especially from the DM side. I try to view myself anyway as a fairly good person. I do have a little bit of a mean streak, and we'll own up to that. I can completely confidently say I have a little bit of a mean streak in me. But overall, I'm a nice guy. Yeah, but overall, I'm a nice guy. However,
You're also very stubborn.
Well, yes.
We're Libras.
But I love, with D&D and role-playing, getting to be the bad guy. Getting to be the guy who laughs at the pain of others and be just that total dick that you never get to be in real life because you don't really want to hurt people. So, honestly, that's probably my favorite part about being stuck behind the DM screen is, like, there's been times where I've just had a really bad day and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to make a bad guy now.
I'm going to take it out on my players.
Yeah, you can ask poor Tavi. There was one day where I was like, I want to see some mayhem, and she happened to fail a saving throw and may have happened to fall to 0 HP. Yeah, sea hags are evil. Don't look them in the eye. She learned that lesson the hard way.
Little charity stream.
Oh, that poor charity stream. Oh my god. She got bullied so hard on my charity stream. She died, what, 8 times?
Oh my
About
God.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so in her defense, the charity stream was designed to turn and burn characters like
Yes.
no tomorrow. Shrub and other people had sat there and rolled up what 100 characters.
Yeah, I had 100 level 10 characters pre-built for everybody.
No way.
Yep.
And I had 4 players in 4-hour intervals join in. I'd randomly assign them a player off of the list, or a character off
I'd
of the
roll
list.
roll a
and-
D100, see what you get, and then
Yep. And yeah, poor Tavi burnt through, I think, at least 8 characters. Granted, she was also one of the people on there for the longest time. But I mean, one of her characters literally didn't make it through the first room they entered.
Is that the stream where it ended up getting cut short and you messaged me like a few
Yes.
hours before I was supposed to log on?
Yes.
Okay.
It was supposed to last for a full 24 hours. At about 3:45 in the morning, we had a player fall asleep while we played, and I was fighting to keep my eyes open. So unfortunately, I had to call it. Couldn't quite hit the 24 hours, but we streamed for 19 hours, something like that, and
That's already
Agent's
an
Light just
achievement
came
right
on.
there.
Yeah, and then
That's a beautiful green curtain there, Agent.
he uses green screen
my green
mostly.
screen.
So,
And then the main thing that was the big good moment from the this charity stream was we managed to actually raise almost $900 for the Children's Miracle
Yay.
Network hospitals. So honestly,
That's
that
so
was
good.
the much bigger accomplishment than just streaming for 19 hours on my part. I was ecstatic. I mean, I had set
that's awesome.
my initial goal for I think $150. I was not expecting to have it go that big, and it went off super well, and was such a fun event that I plan on doing it every year from now until whenever I drop dead. Which those of you that know me, it takes
You've
a while.
already done it once.
Yeah,
I'm giving you the sister glare.
I can see that. Ashen, I died in 2013 for 3 minutes and came back. Yeah,
Ah, ah. Holy shit.
That's a story for a different day.
yeah.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah. Well, long story short, don't play with power lines. It's not fun.
Okay, yeah, totally will avoid that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So what is a story of roleplay, whether it was you or somebody else roleplaying their character really well? Give me a story from a campaign. Ray, I know you're more like the WoW side of things. Give me an instance where somebody roleplayed their character or their position so well that it just kind of blew your mind and made the whole experience that much better.
Okay, so I don't like the guy anymore because he's kind of a douche nugget. But anyway, he played a dwarf, and at the table, like, literally spoke like a dwarf the entire time. Acted like, where's my beer? Like, it was almost like Fat Bastard was sitting at our table. It was awesome because he was just so into it, and everything was just meticulously dwarven, including his name.
Love it.
That was fun.
That's very good.
Agent or Ashton, you guys have an example?
Go ahead, Agent.
Well, so
I'm writing down.
I'm probably the least experienced out of all here in the worlds of D&D / anything role playing, except for obviously when I was a lot younger. Me and my friend would do a bunch of like role playing games, like IRL, kind of like LARPing, but like little kids style, like just off in a forest and just play. So I mean, as far as like in a campaign setting,
I mean, it can also be ones you watched. It doesn't necessarily have to be one that you yourself participated in. Just a story you can think of where you saw somebody roleplay that well. I just
if we're
smacked
going
that
off
finger.
that, then it would probably be Travis Willingham.
Okay.
Grog.
He played
just-
Grog so well through all of it.
He was absolutely like, that gave me so much like just inspiration as far as like roleplay goes. Like the way he did Grog compared to like Ford were just complete polar opposites, and it's him as a person is just spectacular. Like,
Yeah.
he took his normal intelligence and put it at a 6 for the sake of the campaign, and it was great.
So he literally just played an idiot.
More or less. He
For
was
them,
so
like he would make points like as Travis, like, hey, we probably shouldn't do that, but then Grog would come out and be like, yeah.
he played the truest of true barbarians.
Grog Strongjaw.
Yeah. I would highly advise you to watch it, Ray. It's called Critical Role. I'm sure you've heard of it.
Yes.
And it's specifically the first
Roll
campaign.
1.
Yeah, the first campaign where he played Grog. I mean, he did a great job with just about any time it had to show him coming out.
I might have seen some.
Watch the
I,
whole thing because it's worth it.
I think my favorite was
Or
his.
listen to it.
I think my favorite part of Grog was his explanation when they accidentally turned the fly spell off of him while over the Draugr war encampment, and he fell like 200 feet and was able to rage before he hit the ground and survived the impact.
Take half of it.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. He's a great actor, for sure. What about you, Ashen?
I mean, I was just like writing down examples of ones that I've been a part of in games that I've played. But there's also like so many out there in, Critical Role or the Adventure Zone or Dimension 20. They're just everyone is amazing at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
As far as stuff that I've done, let's see here. This is kind of D&D related, but it's a tabletop game, but it's
Yeah,
not D&D.
I mean
It's
roleplay is
Monster of the Week,
roleplay. So.
Oh yeah, I've got so many NPCs that I really like to roleplay in the game that I DM. But I think my favorite roleplay moment that I was lucky to be a part of, and even just the campaign itself, was a Monster of the Week campaign, which is very like episodic, supernatural-esque. So Ray, you would like love the shit out of it. It's very good. My character was kind of always at odds with one of the other players, or player characters, just because like my character was a summoned demon from hell, and then her character, her life's goal was to wipe out all of the kind of demon that I was. So we like had a conflict throughout the entire campaign until we like came to an agreement like we need to work together to like stop the apocalypse from happening. Just finding the humanity in the sense of being able to relate to one another. Even with a succubus talking to someone who is just a human, like finding those moments that you can relate to and kind of have deep moments over a Sarah McLachlan CD in the front glove box of a truck. Like,
Now I'm
it sounds
thinking of
obscure.
puppies.
I know. Man, kind of had to be there for it, but it's like at the same time, it's just nice to know people who are also really into roleplay.
Yeah. No, I honestly believe even if the campaign itself is super combat focused, having the players that want to roleplay their character just makes every session that much better. And that's one thing I have to be really thankful for with both the groups I run is, for the most part, they're pretty heavy on the roleplay. One example that I love for roleplay, and Shrubbet has brought it up on the channel before, but it's still like one of those moments that just sticks out. During her first campaign, we had 3 people fail to be part of the game. You know, they showed up, were there for session 0, and came in a couple times after that, but ended up just dropping out. And their party had no tank, so like nothing with muscle at all. The hardest one they had, Agent knows where this is going already.
Yep.
The hardest person they had was a rogue. You know, so I gave them a slightly sentient Warforge.
Amazing.
Yeah, he was basically like just cannon fodder is what he was supposed to be. You know, he didn't really have an opinion. He was just this somewhat robotic type guy who was a fighter with a high armor class, took the abuse for the party, and I tried to kill him off 3 different times. The first time they completely interrupted his death. Did everything they could to make sure that he stayed on his feet. And I was like, okay, well, they've actually like fallen in love with this NPC. All right. In that case, I'm going to use him as a plot hook. The guy they were working for, they were collecting these magic artifacts for this wizard named Brennan. And I'm surprised I didn't just have something thrown at me from the side just by saying his name. Shrubette hates this man. To the point where she has threatened to burn his character sheet and destroy his mini. She hates Brendan with a passion. It's great. So they were collecting these items for him, and I turned him into the big bad evil guy. These items that they were collecting were so that he could become basically an insanely powerful lich and bring about the apocalypse in himself. He was building a plague and was going to just wipe out the land. And his final moment of switching over and showing the treachery, the players had just helped him get a hold of this artifact in an underground temple, and he brought the temple down on their heads.
Oh no.
In doing so, Zulam, which is this, warforged, half-sentient being, sacrificed his life by standing over them, leaning against another wall so that the hard rocks of his body would protect the party from the falling rubble.
He did a brute?
He did. He totally did.
He did, yeah.
And I described it to the point where a sharp rock punctured through his back, knocking his life crystal through the front of him and shattering it in front of the party. My wife's alignment changed so hard that I thought I was going to get a divorce in real life. It was supposed to make them want to kill Brennan. It made her on this hell-bent mission to find a way to bring Zulam back so that Zulam could help kill Brennan. So
revenge, so good.
And I mean, like I said, to this day, this happened almost a year ago now, and to this day, I can say the name Brennan and her temperature spikes. It's hilarious, and I think that was one of the defining moments of roleplay for her. I feel like when that one happened, she sunk so far into her character that she just, I mean, for the entire rest of that campaign, it was incredible. And then, fast forward another 15 sessions, they'd brought Zulam back. I put him into a very perilous situation, hoping that I could kill him off so that for the finale, it was just the players and not me running an NPC in the fight with them. And this lovable druid character, which my wife played, who was very pro-life and save everybody and, almost like hippie status, pulled out some of the most heinous war crimes to protect Zulam. I mean, you were horrible.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what? But it's a true thing, because look at a parent. A parent will do the most outrageous things to protect their offspring, or people who find out about wrongs that have been done against their offspring, and they're like in jail telling people like, worth it,
Oh yeah, and that's totally what she did. I mean, she burnt every spell slot she had and was charging through the wake of destruction, ready to continue the fight. It was great. And Zulam ended up going through the whole thing and has retired and is now a reoccurring NPC blacksmith in one of the towns of my campaign settings. Because I made a promise that I will give him a happy life and let him live forever because of how bad her alignment changed.
Because of a happy wife, happy life.
Exactly. That's really what it boiled down to. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The night that Zulam died, I almost slept on the couch for my own safety.
And because I know my sister-in-law, I believe that.
Yeah. She is not even half my size and terrifies me. I am not scared of much, but that woman, she scares me. She's over there smacking paint onto the brush.
Tell her I say hi, by the way.
Grace says hi. She says hi back. So what is something that you guys have seen? Again, this can be in a campaign you've ran or a campaign you've watched, where somebody has done something that they claim is roleplay or that they hide behind the mask of roleplay that has just kind of ruined the game for the people around you. So, a big no-no to kind of steer the newer players away from, like something that you would advise them not to let them do, because even though it seems like it's good roleplay, it's actually just a very disruptive and destructive type thing. I'm judging by the face that Agent made. He's got a very prime example for this.
Yes, please.
So, I skipped 40 episodes of Critical Role for this reason, actually.
I know what you're going to talk about.
Yep.
Oh, do you? Is his
Oh,
name
yes.
Tiberius?
Yep.
Yeah. Great roleplay. Don't get me wrong. It's fantabulous, like great voice, great character, great everything. But he treated everybody like shit while he was doing it.
He treated
And-
himself like the main character and just
Exactly. And
avoided everything else.
he would cut off people. He would constantly interrupt. He would try to make himself the center of every subject, and just I'm
Very
glad
off-putting.
he's doing better now than when he was back then, but
Mhm.
it was probably the best choice at the time what they did. And it was
I
really
agree.
sad to see what happened to his character. Not going to spoil anything, but shit happens and characters die.
I mean, that's a fair way to put it.
But not to spoil anything.
Didn't how or when.
I think it made sense that they kind of had to go that route anyway to wrap up a story.
Yeah.
Just to solidify the fact that that character wasn't coming back, that they weren't going to like see them as an NPC and get their help or whatever. I don't know if it was any other motives of like sending a message to this guy specific. No, I probably
I don't
wasn't
think
that,
it was I don't think it was that at all. I think it was, like you said, wrapping up and solidifying the fact that
The character was gone.
he's not coming back.
that was probably mostly for the audience as well, because I know I was watching Critical Role at that time, and there were a lot of people in chat and on social media just like up in arms, like, where's Tiberius? What happened? And like, of course, they kept everything hush hush and all that, but them constantly being barraged with the same question, which I'm sure was kind of triggering for everyone else.
Yeah.
Everyone involved in that, like, they kind of just needed to put that to rest.
Just
And
Put a fork in it. It's done. We're just
yeah,
gonna push
we're
it over
moving on,
there,
everybody.
and it's gonna stay there, and we're gonna go this way.
It was, yeah, it was a not so solid time, but the fact that they did it was like good for everyone. So
Yeah.
it's okay
But as
that
far
it
as
happened.
to convince people, like, just don't be a dick, even if it's your character. Like,
Yeah.
you could be a dick without being a dick to people. Like,
Like Drax.
be rude to like NPCs or not the DM per se,
yeah.
but like within reason, just the DM. Like, the DM is built a little tougher than the people there most of the time because they're used to it.
Well, and beyond that, a lot of people have, even if they're not super invested, they have some form of connection with their character. Whereas,
exactly, like,
as a DM, I have 10 billion characters at my disposal. You want to be a dick to that one? Be a dick to that one. I don't care about his feelings.
exactly. You may play like you do, but you don't care.
Yeah, I mean, they're just another grain of sand in the ebb of time, right?
Something to that effect.
But yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying there, Agent. The big part of it, even if your character is, you know, a snobbish kind of off-putting character, you can roleplay that without being a dick to your fellow players. And that's where that distinction between good roleplay and bad roleplay kind of comes into play. You know, if you want to butt heads with a player, doing so in a way that that player knows it's coming, and that they, you know, get to butt heads back, totally understandable and can lead to some great roleplay.
In a
But
creative manner.
yeah, exactly. But if you're just, you know, being a dick for the sake of being a dick, most of the players around the table are not going to enjoy that, and that leads to very hostile and shitty situations.
I think one of the most obnoxious things, especially for new players, is when people aren't paying attention.
Mhm.
You know, like they're on their phones and it's like, oh, wait, what's going on? Like, get off your phone and pay attention. You know, like, I can understand, like, I'm literally working with polymer clay right now while we're doing this. I have ADD brain. So me being on my phone, I might be looking up something for my character, or I might be looking up something related to the game. But if it's someone who's just on Facebook while you're supposed to be playing, like, dude, put the phone down and focus on what's going on, because everyone's going to get real tired of going, this is what we're doing and this is what they're asking you. So having to explain everything over and over again, that's something that can get really old and really annoying and just ruin it for other players.
Especially from the DM perspective. Ash, you've DM'd before as well, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm sure you can back me up on this. There is a lot of time and energy that goes into being a DM. I mean,
yeah.
As a player, you more or less just show up, throw your dice, and at the end of the day, you go home. As a DM, we have to plan a good session for, you know, a collective of other individuals who have their own individual tastes, and figure out a way to make a story that is engaging and entertaining for all of them. And it takes a lot of effort sometimes. I mean, there's some days where the story writes itself, I'll admit. But there are some days where, I mean, it's pulling teeth to try to figure out how you're going to get through the next session. And when you're doing that kind of work, and then you see a player, like you said, on your phone, or especially with the Roll20 aspect where everybody's already at their computer, players who
playing a game.
who play video games while they're playing D&D,
I've had people do that.
Yeah.
Like, not in games that I've DM'd, but games that I've played in. Like, I'm friends with you on Steam. I can see what you're playing right now.
And that's just it right there too.
In the
It shows
bottom
up in the
right-hand
corner,
of my screen,
and it's like,
I see you.
And now that being said, there are some people out there, like Ray just said, she's doing the clay thing right now, but she's staying engaged in the conversation. There are some people who can do that, and by all means, if you're one of those people where, yeah, you can do a little bit of side thing, but still focus on knowing what's going on, knowing when you're expected to make an action, being engaged in it, then by all means go ahead. That doesn't bother me. But like she said,
extra stimulants in your brain to do other things at the same time, because it's not 100% brain power, because you are just a player.
Yeah.
But
plus
be courteous and don't be an asshole.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, there is the downtime during turns, you know, and I totally get, especially in bigger party games, being a little bit bored when you're like, okay, I've done my action. Now my 6 teammates and the 5 enemies all have to do what they got to do before I can do anything else. I can understand being a little bit bored and wanting something to do during that time. But you need to be able to know more or less what happened and when it is your turn.
Majority of that time should be spent thinking about what you're going to do.
I mean,
and
yes,
adapting to what's currently happening.
Yeah.
Because you could make a plan, like the main character that I play is a cleric, so I'll make a plan to, like, heal this character, but then 2 turns down the line,
They get healed.
Yeah, they get healed, or this other person is, like, on death's door, and it's like, okay, well, now I need to rethink my priorities here, and then, like, an enemy comes into melee combat. So it's like, if I'm not paying attention, and I'm, like, just looking at the battle map to get my information, or even, like, you know, scrolling through the chat on Roll20 to see the previous actions, that could kind of help. but for the most part, you want to be paying attention so that
Yeah.
you can adapt to stuff. I know people that I have previously played with that don't pay attention when it's not their turn, and then when it's their turn, I had like timed it previously. Everyone was taking like a minute and a half to get through their their turn, but this other person took 5 to 10 minutes
Nope.
because
Jesus.
they were
10 minutes for a turn is just outrageous.
Well, even
Yes.
5
It's a
minutes. Like, I get 3 minutes. You're getting there. Like,
I can
you
understand
should
3
start
minutes.
cutting them off at 4 to 5.
I can understand
Yeah.
3 minutes to get through a full turn. If it takes
Well, yeah,
you,
but like,
yeah, I feel like if it takes you more than like 45 seconds to decide what you're gonna do, that's kind of an apparent sign that you weren't paying attention.
Yeah.
This is
Other
why they're
than
not in the group anymore because they took way too long. Well, I mean, there were other not fun reasons, but like the fact that they would be on their turn and then suddenly realize the things that they had to do, and then they would like start talking out loud of maybe I do this because if I do this, then I can do this action. Like they were a fighter, so they had multiple actions, which only elongated the term a little bit.
yeah,
But beside the fact, it was enough to be like, maybe this isn't for you, bud.
yeah.
We want to work
The-
with you, but holy shit.
The exception I have to the rule of like the 45-second thing is spellcasters, and only for the fact that, like you said, sometimes 3 turns in, your plan gets shifted.
Mhm.
And especially higher level spellcasters that have access to a lot of different spells, sometimes it is you're like, hang on, I have a spell that would work in this situation, which one is it? And I can't really hold that against a player for not
Right.
not knowing every spell
knowing
they have.
every single spell by heart,
Yeah.
every word of the spell.
Exactly.
Especially if you play something different in every campaign.
Yeah.
That one
trying
gets
new
huge
things.
too.
Yeah,
And then
like the very first thing I played, I think, was a druid. Who
That's
was
already hard enough.
right.
That's all the spells that they have.
Yeah, and she was kind of very loony Luna, so she was like, "Oh look, it's nighttime. The stars are out. Let's open this door." So it was yeah, that
And-
was chaotic. And then I think I played. Oh gosh, what was my tiefling, Kev? Claire? No,
Paladin?
Shizer. Yes, paladin. I think it was a paladin. She was fun, and hers was pretty easy. But again, going from a druid to a paladin, it was like, okay, hold up, which powers do I have again?
I also want to throw out there that her brilliant paladin, who has greater restoration as a prepared spell, saw one of their friends losing their mind, and their reaction was to smack them to see if it would smack the sense back into them instead of casting
So
the
good.
restoration spell.
I mean,
I
hey,
panicked.
it works, right?
And honestly,
No,
it was
didn't. It made it worse.
it was honestly great. But yeah, because like especially in D&D, and more so in older editions than 5th edition, but there's very fine technicalities in the way some of the spells are worded. So I can totally get spellcasters having to take a little bit longer. But like you were saying with a fighter, even with having the extra actions of action surge, bonus attack, and depending on if they went battle master or not, having the what is it, maneuvers or whatever they're called.
Mhm.
Even with those extra options, there's not that huge plethora of different ways to go. It's it's more or
You
less
just
cut
hit.
and dry.
You
Yeah,
hit.
it's your
If
turn.
they
What do you do?
fall,
Whack.
You turn and hit somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Do
another.
you melee or do you range?
Yeah. Another one that bugs me that's kind of on the same topic are those players who are like, oh, I hit the guy and then throw a dice. And it's like, okay, well, you've got 3 people next to you. Which one do you hit? What are you hitting with? And like, I get it. You just need to hit, but come on, there's more than just toss the die and see what happens.
Mhm. It's
Um,
always a lot of fun to like narrate what you're trying to do. I feel like it always kind of jinxes it a little bit, like
Especially
summon
when you
this-
have him.
oh, really?
I don't love that face. Just
She's not wrong.
Someone wants their next character killed.
You kill my tiefling, I kill you.
I mean, I'm just saying, if either of them are going to be in a campaign, you guys are probably both going to be in the same Roll20 campaign, so you'll be looking out for each other and have to worry about the other deities in chat.
Oh no.
Oh, I already know I have it coming to me.
Oh, yeah. I guarantee
I
as
already
soon as
well-
you
I
become
already
a
well
player,
know.
everybody from the Saturday game is ready to come for you. You've been picking on them for damn near a year.
I have a couple people that are going to be my saving grace.
That's
but
true. You've done
I'm
nothing but
glad
save
it's only
X.
one nat 20 a section.
Yeah.
I think
Or
the
one
chat
nat
deity.
1.
I think the chat deities might find mine interesting since my tiefling has amnesia.
Yeah. Hi, sweetheart.
Tiny human.
My baby shrub is already taken care of tonight, but
Oh. Baby shrub. That's so cute.
I have shrub, shrubette, boy shrub, girl shrub, and baby shrub.
Why is that the cutest thing ever?
Because it is.
You have like a whole like greenhouse.
Yep.
Mhm.
A whole little shrub patch.
Honestly, I think one of the cutest things that like melted my heart as a dad. Right after I first set up my merch, I bought my shirt, which I'm wearing now, and if you look at the stream, is very, very faded. It needs to be replaced super bad. But I first bought it, got it, and I was like, dude, this is sick. It's got my name, my logo. Like, I was super proud of it. My older daughter came up to me with $5, and she's like, is this enough? I want to buy a shrub shirt. And I was like, oh, honey, I'll just order you one. And she's like, no, I want to support it. I'll buy it. So I had to hide her $5 back in her room because I did not feel right taking it. But she would not let me not accept it. And it honestly melted my heart. It was so sweet.
She really is a sweet little girl.
Mm-hmm. And I have to point out, too, she's technically my stepchild. Like, so it just makes it that much sweeter that as a stepdad, I have impacted her enough that she wanted to be that sweet to me. It really did melt my heart. I love that kid to death.
That's lovely.
Shrub, I'm going to be slightly an asshole. Can you even tell where your logo is?
Yeah, you know what? Yes, I can. It's got a red bottom.
So fun fact,
I'm
he's
blue-green deficient.
Yeah.
So they like to make
Okay,
fun
I
of
see.
the greens and blues.
And the fact that the shirt's gray.
It's a different gray though. Like it's two
Is
different.
it like a heather?
Heather?
I love Heather Gray.
Yeah, see, charcoal gray.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, no, he just sees shade of gray, shade of gray. He's not going to give you colors.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I'm a man.
Extra-
I don't do the defined colors thing. It's
that's fine.
it's red, not cherry or rose or it's red.
It's fair.
But yeah, they like to pick on the blue-green deficient thing to the point that one of my Saturday players actually put a redemption on his stream called Shrub Vision, where it gets rid of all the blues and greens in his chat. It's
Oh my god.
it's great.
Wow.
It's great.
In his face cam.
Yeah, in his
So
camera.
like anything in his vicinity that would be blue or green goes to gray wash.
Grayscale.
That's so mean.
It's honestly, it leads to a lot of hilarious things, to the point in case where like we've been describing stuff and I'll say something's gray and they're like and I was like
You sure about that?
it's probably blue, sorry. But shit happens.
Very good.
So do you have a specific like don't do Ash? I know both Agent and Ray said one. Is there something else that you can think of to add to that list?
I mean, I think trying to integrate being a rules lawyer into roleplay is not fun. Just rules lawyering in general.
In general,
is,
yes.
yeah, it's not a good time. It like halts the gameplay. A lot. I mean, pretty much everything that I'm a part of online is streamed. So our priority is that it's a show. We're having fun, and if we're not having fun, then we need to figure it out. But it's a show.
Yeah.
So if we're halting it because we're arguing over rules as written versus rules as intended, and someone's like looking up Jeremy Crawford's intention with it, it's like, hang on, guys.
Yeah.
We're
Now,
gonna come up with a narrative reason why or why not it's working, and then move on.
Yeah.
So
Now,
anything to do with
yeah.
bringing that into roleplay sucks.
Yes,
And-
I agree.
Rules as written are mostly just a guideline.
Yes. Thank you.
And I mean
And
also,
it's ultimately up to Sky God
Mhm.
what happens.
yeah. And I mean there's also a way to do it. Like,
Mhm.
you know, if you're like, oh hey, that's not how this works. Look on page blah blah blah. No, you're a dick. Stop. Shut up. But you know, if the DM says something and you're like, oh well, this is how I understood it. Is that not right? Dude,
Mhm.
that's totally acceptable. Because I mean, I've been DMing for going on 5 years now. There's been
Wow,
times
awesome.
recently where people have been like, oh, I kind of understood it this way, and I stop and look at it, and I'm like, you know what, that actually makes more sense. Yeah, let's go with it that route. And it's
Mhm.
Comprehension has a wide scope.
Yeah.
Also, who
Yes.
really wants to sit here and read this whole damn thing just to have it memorized? Like,
That sucks.
I mean,
it's
I'm not
fun.
saying to memorize it, but when
Well,
I
I
had
know,
my
but, like,
last
that's-
surgery and I got really bored.
I mean, that's fair. But I'm just saying, like,
Content.
it's not something that you should have to, like, skim through it, learn your things, like, learn your character, learn all your features and all that, but, like, don't be that guy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you're not that guy.
If anything, I would rather have like the rule of cool being
Mhm.
like the superseding rule of everything. Take the rules
Exactly.
of the game as a guideline, as Agent says, but then like if someone comes up with a really creative way
What are you
to
talking?
do something different, or interpret a spell differently, like I'm all for it. If you want to have chill touch, not be necromantic, and actually be cold, screw it. It's gonna be that because that sounds dope as hell. We're gonna make it happen.
Well, and, like, you can make spells with your DM.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
perfect example, Liam. Like,
Yes.
he made spells with Matt, and Matt made spells specifically for campaign 2, like,
Mhm.
that Liam was learning. And, like,
Mhm.
some of those spells were phenomenal, but,
Mhm.
like, you can, like, I was talking to Shrub, and if I ever played a caster, I would want their casting to be, like, their primary damage source to be acidic damage.
Ooh.
So
Okay.
instead of a fireball, an acid ball,
Mhm.
it does same damage, but just
Acid
damage
types.
instead.
Yeah.
That's
I like
cool.
that. That's awesome.
And
I mean, isn't that what they did with Jester? Like her being a blue tiefling because of her lineage.
Oh yeah, and
Like
having
her
cold
hellish
resistance.
rebuke. Yeah,
Mhm.
cold resistance, and then her hellish rebuke was ice instead of
Mhm.
fire. Like,
and
all
see,
for
Which
it.
makes sense.
and little flavors like that, and even full on homebrew races, honestly, are something that as a DM, I fucking love in the community. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some that are stupidly overpowered that just
Well, yeah,
should
you
not even
always
be
have that
allowed.
one person that's gonna over mid max and be like,
Yeah.
"I am unkillable."
Yeah.
Which is unoriginal and boring.
Yeah, that sucks.
I found this level 1 spell that makes it to where if you don't make a DC 50 con save, you die. Yeah, no. And I mean, there's stupid homebrews like that, but honestly, homebrew overall is, in my opinion, the greatest part of D&D. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good content in the player's handbooks and all the guides and stuff that have come out since, but I feel like without the ability to homebrew and without the ability to tweak, D&D would suck. I mean, that's all there is
Mhm.
to it. You know, even just going on basic player's handbook, there's certain things in there that I'm just like, no, that's stupid, and change it. You know, and that's technically homebrew, but
Yeah.
yeah, that little bit of flexibility makes a big difference.
Well, it's like that
Mhm.
subclass me and you talked about.
Tell him to stop thinking he's cool back there. Yeah.
How we both looked at it and we're like, well, I mean, you could technically just do that anyway.
hmm
It's what was it? It was the
There's
assassin.
the shadow step part.
No, it was the assassin rogue. This is the subclass.
Yeah, but it was the
So,
shadow
like, the
step
assassin
ability,
rogue-
wasn't it? That we were
No,
talking about.
it was the disguising yourself.
Oh yeah. It had
Oh.
an ability specifically about disguising.
Yeah, so you could like take your assassin rogue and then like have him like adopt the identity of some character in some off town, and then he would essentially be perceived as said character for X amount of gold,
Oh.
and it's a class ability, and it's like, I mean, I get it, but
Too
if I
good.
just did that
Yeah, 2 good
over
bluffs and a
time,
solid
I
disguise
could
kit,
just
you're fine.
do that exactly. So like we were talking about it, and I was like, I like the other abilities of this class, but like, and then we started looking through the homebrew section, and like there was a really good spin-off of it that's like it had some of the same abilities, but like it got rid of the stupid ones.
Mhm.
And he was like, I like that, we can do that.
Yep. That, and then like, you know, the minor changes too. Like I had a player who I ended up actually never getting to be a player, but they're a friend of mine who wanted to play, that really really liked the tabaxi and all of their type of stuff, but they hate cats as an overall, like them themselves.
Fair.
So
Fair.
they wanted to do essentially the same thing as a tabaxi, but change it to what'd they go with?
Dog.
Like no, they went with like one of the big cats instead of like a cat.
Oh,
They
like a
went,
tiger, or
yeah, I think
that's
okay.
cool.
I think they went with lion is what they went with.
So they were
But
essentially a lichen, but not.
Or a
Mhm.
Leonin.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah. So that kind of stuff is awesome, you know. And I love the ability of D&D to adapt. And then
Mhm.
with that, circling back to the roleplay thing, I love the people who take the crazy races and roleplay them as something you wouldn't expect. I know somebody, and Ray, you know them too, who has a Laxodon, which is an elephant person, 2-legged elephant
Okay.
person that is a rogue.
That's incredible.
That's awesome.
And granted, the person I'm referring to is a bit of a min-maxer, and they've had a lot of time behind the DM screen as well, so they know how to min-max very well. So some of the exploits that they've told me of this character are things that are excessive. Yeah, there you go, Agent. But at the same
I'm just
time,
trying
like,
to wrap my head around elephant rogue.
I mean, if you do it right, you can do it. Think of this. I've told you the story of C. Borg, right?
No.
Okay, so this guy played a half-orc rogue who dump-statted charisma, or no, sorry, dump-statted dex,
Yeah.
but
Wait,
maxed
what?
out,
Oh, no.
yeah, dump-statted dex, but maxed out his charisma and took expertise in the intimidation roll. So he was not sneaky at all, but every time he got caught, he'd just intimidate the guards and be like, C. Borg, and roll like
Wow.
29 on his intimidation,
I
so they'd be
mean-
like, yeah, we don't fucking see you.
No,
Fair.
This is very
But
good.
But still, like, elephant person big, rogue sneaky.
I mean, if done right, I guess. I mean, there's definitely disadvantages, and that again circles back to the role play aspect. Like we had a player in one of my campaigns who wanted to play as a centaur, and granted, he quickly realized how being a character that took up a 10-foot space instead of a 5-foot space
Is a bad thing.
yeah, it impeded things, especially because they started off on a riverboat that was only 10 foot wide.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So there's someone at least sitting, a couple people sitting under them, and then there were a couple of people riding them, and
yeah.
Oh, Centaur's in the water. He can swim.
Well, you know, it got to the point where like they got to a town, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'd like to rent a room in the inn," and the innkeeper is like, "Well, the stables are over there."
No.
You know, because they don't.
Oh,
They're not set to have a bed for a centaur, you know. So
Yeah.
like, and he role played with it. He role played with it really well for a little while, and then he realized he really did not enjoy being a centaur, so he changed characters, which is fine. But I'll give him the credit. He role played with it. He went with it. You know, I think there was one time where he tried to disguise himself as somebody riding a horse, and that went very poorly.
Why are you so far up on the horse?
Why are you riding its neck?
Why
Don't
are
ask
you on its
questions.
neck?
We also had the conversation of like, whenever everybody bought food, we had to determine which stomach he was feeding, the human one or the horse one.
Oh my god.
And like what kind of food he was eating to fill certain stomachs. Which
Could he like choose which stomach it went to?
well, and see that's where the topic got to. Like at first it was like meat and things go to the human stomach, grass and stuff like that goes to the horse stomach. And then we brought up like, well, what about regular vegetables like carrots that humans eat? Like would that go to the horse stomach or the human stomach?
No, he's just gonna be double.
Yeah, and it definitely led to some interesting role play. And then I'm sure as D&D players, you guys have all heard of the Centaur Loophole of they count as a medium class character, but can also have a medium class character right on their back. So if you wanted to, you could stack centaurs into oblivion, and it's by rules as written legal, because
Incredible.
each centaur is a medium creature with a medium creature on its back.
I kind of want to see it, but
Almost like spawning cows underneath a ship and
Yeah.
casting expeditious retreat on them.
Yeah, or water walk. Yeah,
Yeah.
you cast them, or cast summon woodland creatures 60 feet below a ship, and then cast water walk on them so they rise to the surface at 90 feet per turn. And now there's cow-sized holes in the bottom of your ship. Or instant ground beef, depending on which way your DM wants to look at it.
Nah, there's enough there's enough cows that there's gonna be holes. That ship's going down.
I mean, again, this leads to the war crimes that druids can commit, but that's where roleplay can kind of lead to creativeness, I guess, is when the players start thinking about tricky shit like that.
Also, why Shrub doesn't allow guns because he's not there.
No, fuck gunpowder. I don't trust my players with high explosive spells. Why would I trust you with barrels of gunpowder? No.
So
Totally
low-key,
No.
I just want you to sound like Victor.
What?
Ash knows what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I do not. Is that a campaign 2 thing?
It's a campaign 1 thing.
Oh, okay.
It's probably Matt's favorite / least favorite NPC that he's ever developed.
fair.
So good though.
Oh, fuck! I love that he did it for Halloween too.
Yes. Like the fake teeth and everything.
Ooh,
Mhm.
speaking of that, Agent, I might need your help as I am starting planning phases for the new Halloween episodes.
Yo, let's go down.
But yeah, no. To circle back to the roleplay thing again, I completely agree with what you said, Ash. It's the people who rule lawyer and hide behind it as roleplay are completely obnoxious and not welcome at my table. And to anybody out there who is watching my channel who aspires to eventually be a DM, know that you can tell somebody they are not welcome at your table. I stand behind that with my whole heart. There was a couple games that I ran where I let people who shouldn't have been sit at my table for far too long, and I've had a couple campaigns die because of it. So stand up for yourself. If you can see that a player is not
Healthy
adding
to the table.
yeah, there you go, not healthy for the table, then get rid of them. And yes, as Agent just said, chat, feel free. There is a redemption. You guys can suggest a certain topic, but we're also open to just talk with any chats that pop up. So feel free. So I know we kind of hit on it at the beginning, but I feel like we didn't get real in depth with it. What is something that to you guys kind of helps you roleplay your character more, helps you get in the mood to be that character? I guess the best way to describe this question, if you were trying to teach somebody who has never roleplayed a character before how to get into the roleplay, what is some advice you would give them?
This is something that I struggled with when I first started playing.
Mhm.
I had a really hard time separating my thoughts and the character's thoughts. I do a couple things and have been with like the main character that I play and any of the other campaigns that I'm in. Mostly the main one. The key things that I do is have a character voice, and that's not like an accent, but just like different tones to kind of separate. Hey, this is Ash talking versus hey, this is my Furbolg talking.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's like very shy and timid. So I'll talk a little bit quieter, but like pitch up the tone a little bit, and like that's it. But it's enough for myself to get into that mindset, as well as the other players to recognize that okay, we're talking to the Furbolg right now. We're trying
Mm-hmm.
to figure out what is going on in game. Um, Another thing that I do with that character specifically is I have a character journal where after a session, I'll just write down some notes of like during a long rest or whatever, like here's to recap things that happened during the day. I'm still taking like in-game notes, but that's like meta knowledge kind of thing. Um, but like afterwards, we'll still in the mindset of the character write down this really sucks, or just
Mm-hmm.
things that
That's
might have
brilliant.
happened. It helps a lot. It's helped me like figure out more backstory stuff for her. Um, just it helps me like frame questions to other players in the coming sessions to try and get them kind of more into the role play aspect. A lot of the games that I play, role play is a very key and big thing with
Mm-hmm.
every game that we all play. Without it, I feel like it just kind of kills the session because it's like it's combat. You roll over here. Here's the puzzle. Figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
That's not fun. If you're talking to one another in that character, it it just feels more authentic.
I completely agree. Roleplay is what takes D&D to that next level. Games
Mhm.
without it are, like you said, it's just a bunch of people throwing dice and doing math. Roleplay is what
Yeah,
makes it D&D.
absolutely. Um, One other thing that I wanted to quickly mention
Mm-hmm.
is if any of you are into like watching content creators on YouTube that talk a lot about tabletop and D&D related games, Momo O'Brien is a fantastic creator out there that put out probably one of my favorite videos just specifically about trying to help immerse yourself as the character in the session that you're playing in. Uh, her video goes into like a lot of really good examples, but like having kind of a casual version of your character's costume, whether that's just like a kind of shirt that you might wear or something, or a piece of jewelry that you wear while you're playing. It like you have something physical and tangible that you can like have next to you that helps you get into the mindset. Um, we as humans are very tied to smell, which I'm sorry, Ray, that you're not able to partake in smelling right now. It'll come back, I promise. But
Just to
another
fill in real fast, I have a sinus infection
yeah.
thing and lost my
COVID.
sense of
Oh,
smell. And so it sucks because it's almost fall and I have fall smelling goodies. And back to you, Ash.
It'll come back soon, I promise. Sinus
um,
infections suck.
but before we walk too far away from that, if you could you actually post the link to that video? Um, in the
Absolutely.
chat, you might have to message it to me, your agent. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
Oh,
got
sure.
permissions to post links. I don't know if I have that blocked or not. But by
We'll
all
find
means, if
out.
that's if if that's something that ties to the role play, then by all means, I'm more than happy to you know branch out and use other people's content too, because that's what the whole core behind this podcast originally, when I first started kind of thinking about it, is I want to be able to help a lot of the new players get into it, help experienced players get farther into it,
Mhm.
um, and also just kind of discuss the different factors. I mean, I've got plans for a podcast in the future where we're literally going to pick certain rules in player's handbook that we find stupid, just tear them apart. And, that doesn't really help anybody, but it makes us all feel better about it. Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, if that's a video that an agent just posted the link, thank you. If that's a video that helps with this, helping get the newer players into roleplay, definitely, guys, go watch that video, because, like I said, roleplay is huge in D&D. It's what converts it from a bunch of nerds doing math to a bunch of nerds having a great time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Momo is great in that specific video. Everything else that she does is awesome, but that one has she goes through your main senses and tries to help immerse you into the game based on those senses.
Mhm.
She made a charcuterie board that she could eat while she's playing the game because it reminds her of the stuff that you would eat at a tavern in D&D.
That's awesome.
Lighting a candle or something. She found this really awesome company that has themed candles from Lord of the Rings and stuff, and it's one smells like a tavern and one smells like a bakery or the woods or whatever. And it's your sense of smell is so important. It brings back sensory memory. So why not associate your gameplay with, hey, I'm gonna it doesn't matter even what it is. If you have a favorite smelling candle or something, light it, and then while you're playing, you can very quickly get into the mindset of that.
That's awesome, Agent.
Yeah.
And that's where this comes in.
Yep.
The only time I use this is when playing D&D and or Pathfinder.
Yep.
It's very good.
And with the smell one, that's another powerful tool as a DM. For some of my IRL games, I have a couple different candles that are from a company called D20 Collective. Not only do they have metal
in them?
they do, which is just the added bonus for me. That is where I got my metal D20. But they have, like you just were talking about, Ash, they have scents for different, themed areas. And it's kind of nice. I used to burn a certain candle for whatever kind of theme we were in, background wise, and it kind of helps set the scene, because I mean, especially in the IRL ones, sometimes it's kind of hard to paint that picture. It's amazing how far a little bit of background ambience and, like you said, the smell will actually take your game to that next level. And that's one thing I apologize. Oh, Nacho! Thank you for the raid there, buddy. How's it going, Nacho? Can I get a shout out, Agent? I think you're already doing it. I see you lean in and type. Yep. Thank you, Nacho.
I mean, you have 2 other mods in chat. They're just not doing anything.
That
Not have to call them out or anything.
They're playing New World. Don't lie. Honey Badger, thank you for the resub. I appreciate it, buddy. Welcome in, guys. We're getting towards the end of the camp or the podcast. There we go. That's what I was trying to get at. But we're talking about role playing, and specifically right now how the little things tie you in. And I kind of apologize to you guys as the podcast viewers or guests right now. You guys don't get to hear it tonight because having the rhythm bot in here screws up the camera positioning. But I do actually have ambience music playing for the stream, so we are actually sitting by a campfire in the swamp right now.
Amazing.
As we discuss this. It is something I want to figure out how to do a little better. Yes, Agent?
I have an idea for future stream or for future podcasts that I'm in.
Okay.
Because I could technically play sounds through my Go XLR.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
So if it were to be like Spotify or something, I could have it, instead of just being routed to my headphones, I can have it route out of my mic as well.
I will keep that in mind for future sessions that you're in, since you've been in both of discussing the dungeon so far.
I'm only here tonight because someone didn't show up, so.
This is true.
We're so glad you're here.
Yeah, I truly appreciate it.
I do. No, any chance I get to help Shrub is a great chance.
No, honestly,
he's a good friend.
You've especially the last couple month, you've helped out a lot on my stream, and I do truly appreciate it. But yeah, those background sounds take it to such a next level, and that's why for my IRL game, I'm spending so much time right now devoting my printer to terrain and texture pieces, because dry erase marks on a piece of paper, they get the point across, but they're not. They don't suck you in. Whereas, I don't know if you've seen it in the Discord, Ash. I know Agent and Ray both have looked at it, but I've pulled, or I've started 3D printing shops and buildings and bushes and yada yada. And right now the only thing that's really in there is a blacksmith shop. But you know, having those out on the table versus just drawing a square and saying, yeah, that's a blacksmith shop. It helps suck those players in, which helps with the role play. We lost Ash.
Uh-oh. Yep.
I see that.
Got it.
She's back.
Thank you. I clicked on the wrong thing. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
It's all good.
Sorry, stream. Ash and Ray have now
Start the
swapped
stream
corners.
Over. That's it. Start it over.
Start over. All right. You also have to restart your camera, Ash. Oh, there we go. Oh, and now
Yeah,
you're back in the
okay.
right corner
Hi.
again.
Yay.
Yeah, once you
Dang
have it
it,
set up and
Discord.
everything goes back to normal, it's
Yeah.
everything pops back in place.
But
I know how to Discord.
it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, so like having those things really does help with the role play from the DM perspective. You know, being able to set the mood with music and lighting and 3D terrains and yada yada. And I mean, even to the point, like, I've seen games online, I've never gone this far myself, but I've seen games online where there are battles taking place in a foggy bog, and the DM will hit the vape and blow the vape smoke over the terrain to where it looks like a fog. And I mean,
That's cool.
it's lame, but it gets the point across, and it adds that level of immersion.
I mean, if you vape and you can provide fog clouds, then
Yeah. I
you
mean,
have a fog machine. Do it.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I want to build a super badass D&D table, and I plan on integrating a fog machine into it that I can turn on and off for those types of scenes.
That's so cool.
Granted, I need a new house before I worry about that because I don't have anywhere to put said table.
Space.
But yeah, it's something that adds to that, and as a DM, roleplay is crucial on our behalf because not only do we have to make, you know, every little NPC seem like their own unique person to some degree. I mean, not every Jim, Bob, and Juan walking down the road needs a full backstory, but everybody that a player talks to needs to seem like a person. So as a DM, you have to learn to roleplay. But as a character, learning to roleplay and specifically learning how to bolster your character not only will amp up your enjoyment, but it amps up everybody else, you know, even at a table full of newbies. That's why I always try to have one veteran at every table, because a bunch of newbies that have no idea how to play the game see that one person getting into their character, and it makes them want to, it makes them enjoy it, and it makes them bite that little bit more.
It's a little bit more relaxing and it's a little less intimidating to see someone else doing that as well.
Exactly. You know, when somebody else is throwing out a funny accent or being super animated when they talk, it inspires those other people who are a little more timid to be like, oh, well, if he's okay doing it or she's okay doing it, I could be too. And they do take that extra step.
Absolutely.
And I'll admit, as far as voices go, I'm horrible with it. And especially as a DM, like, I should have lots of voices, and I suck at voices. I'll own that. But that being said,
Voices are hard.
well, not only are
Well,
voices hard,
Like we
but
said the other day, you were going to work on it with your new
Yeah.
IRL campaign coming up.
yeah. But even with that, you know, being able to just give a character a certain set of motivations that they stick to, or a certain moral compass that they stay on, just that brief of a role play is enough to get that extra feeling and extra depth out of D&D.
One thing that I like to do when I'm DMing and need to like switch up the NPC or introduce one, if I can't think of a voice for them, I'll just adjust their energy level. So like a good example is the last session that I ran. I had 3 prominent PCs. My campaign is also based in Wildmount. So anyone familiar with Critical Role Campaign 2 is probably familiar with at least Pumat Soul. My characters met Pumat Soul, so that was a whole bunch of fun. He's just like kind of lower tone, but has a bit of a drawl, and he's a little bit, I wouldn't say lower energy, but he like conserves his energy. Another character was a like a much older woman who's like run a bar for a really long time, and she was super low energy to the point where she was just like exhausted and tired and couldn't handle really talking for very long. So that helped. And then my third NPC, which I just love forever, and I think my characters, my player characters love too, was a Kenku named Pumpkin, who just was, kind of a mimic of everything, and adjusted their energy level based on the response that they needed to give, and also like coming up with those responses. I know I'm kind of rambling here a little bit,
Oh,
but
no,
I'm a
you're good.
big improv DM. I prepare certain lines of things that I'd like to hit, but I don't prepare a whole bunch more. Like I'll toss in a couple maps, and I'll prepare music and stuff. But outside of that, I don't know what my players are gonna do. So
That's
I'll write down things that I like to hit, and outside of that, we just roll with it.
that's honestly, in my experience, that is the best way to DM.
Yes.
Trying to sit and plan out every action your party makes is nothing but stress and headache.
Mm-hmm.
One of
I
my
can't do it.
one of my favorite jokes, and it is a perfect description of me, is you know how video games have render distance? I DM on the lowest setting.
So to go off of that whole the DMs and doing the up to the players and just kind of do whatever the players do. The campaign I'm currently in is it's kind of a railroaded campaign because it's a pre-done story.
Okay.
But me and other players decided that we didn't want to follow the path.
Totally fair.
Okay.
So we're in an underground like cave tunnel dungeon thing, and the doors are all made of stone. Well, we have a druid who can shape into an elemental.
Amazing.
And
Loving where this is going.
Right?
elemental plus door equals
No door.
what door? So we could just have them phase through doors and open them. And we were being chased by some frost giants, and we didn't want to be in the hallway anymore, so we chose the other path. And then our DM was like,
Yep.
We're end?
And see, that is exactly why I don't like to plan out every decision, because every time I'm like, yes, there's not a single choice they can make that I'm not ready for. They find one. Every time.
From his aspect, I get it. Like,
Yeah, running a
it's
pre-made
rock
module.
door, like,
yeah.
you're not really gonna do anything with a rock door normally. You're gonna try and like
Normally.
follow the path, see if you can find a key. But we also had a monk with an int of 6 or 8.
Oh, bless.
So he was
them.
a feral orc monk, and then we have me, the arcanist, who's a scared little shit and just sits in the back and throws spells at people. And then we have the druid, and we have a 7-foot tall Tony the Tiger, who's a inquisitor.
He's great.
Yeah, that's what we all said when we first met him.
Incredible.
But yeah, so
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
the monk wanted to punch the door because that's how the monk gets through the doors, because brain is not there. And
Punch. I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
We went through the door, and the DM was just like, yeah, we're just gonna stop. And then he started planning out the whole thing, at least setting the whole map up for everything from then on out. Because he's like, you guys are assholes. I don't know where you're gonna go. And we're like, yeah.
Now that being said, I'm gonna let loose one of my trade secrets. I give my players, Agent, you can back me up on this, pretty much free roam as to where they want to go. My players are like, I want to sail west. They sail west. That's fine. What they don't realize is a lot of my dungeons and things of that nature travel west with them.
It's over here. Now it's in front of you.
Yeah, they're like, if I've got a plan and I plan on them going east and going into this cave, and they decide to sail west, well, that cave is now on the western islands, not the east ones. They still get the same things done, but
It's the best way to do it, honestly.
Yeah.
There's a book that I've been reading called The Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master.
yes, I like it just for the title.
It's amazing. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it is a wealth of knowledge. It's designed in a way to help you prep your session in like 30 minutes to an hour, and that's it. That's all you need, based on everything that they kind of teach you in this.
Hell
It's
yeah.
like, start off with good NPCs, and your NPCs don't have to have, like you said, a fully fledged backstory, but like, give them mild motivations. Like, they're a tavern owner, but they also run the local knitting club,
Mhm.
and they're also really nervous. Like, that's
Make
that's
them
what you need.
believable.
Yeah, like, make them relatable. Exactly. What's another good one? Create a strong start. That's usually for like the beginning of a campaign or beginning of an arc, but you also have to start a new session every session. So it's like starting out with a bang in some way of like, I'm just going to throw you into combat, or here's something you need to solve immediately.
Mhm.
Something that I've been doing with my campaign is introducing time travel. And they don't know when it's going to happen. They have, if you've watched Campaign 2 into Critical Role and you know what the beacons are, they have a broken one, and it keeps activating and throwing them through time. There's
You're
a
evil.
reason for that.
That's
No.
awesome.
You're
It's
evil.
so much fun. No, like, it's gonna get them to a certain point that I want them to get to, but like,
yeah,
one guy
but-
thinks that all his friends died. He's a turtle, so like, they don't live very long, so he's like,
Which has
am
always
I
bugged
still
me.
alive? I know, it sucks. It's like, they only live to be 30 years old or whatever, so he's like,
Yeah,
did we go past my expiration date? Like, no,
No,
I-
you're good. You still have another 3 weeks. You're fine.
Yeah, 3 weeks. That honestly though, like, that's one of those rules that bugs me. Turtles
Mhm.
should not have a lifespan of 30 years. That
No.
just doesn't.
They
That
should
doesn't
be
make
like
sense.
700.
It
They
just
should be the immortal species.
pretty much. And then I mean, and that being said, then you have to look at Warforged, who literally can't die of old age, and you're just like, okay, well, what happens when they become like 700 years old? Like, you gotta
Yeah.
get bored at that point. What do you do?
I think Matt threw the whole turtle age thing out the window, though.
Oh, I would.
Which is nice.
If I had a
Just
turtle come into my
poorly.
campaign, yeah,
Mhm.
gone. They can be as old as they want.
It's
Because
such a weird age for like a turtle species to live to.
No.
yeah, it just doesn't
Because
make sense.
you look at turtles in normal history, and it's like hundreds of years old,
Mhm.
and then they're like a third of that.
Get like a Galapagos tortoise. They live hundreds of years, and we've got a giant turtle who like can do cool magic and shit. Oh, he can only live 30 years? That sucks. That's
Mhm.
not
That's,
fun.
that's, but what
That's
if my
not a fantasy
campaign
world
goes
I wanna
longer
be
than
in.
30 years?
I've always wanted to run a campaign that went so long that some of the characters have to die from old age.
Oh my god. You
That's
can
just
do that.
cruel.
I don't want to be a part of that.
I've always wanted to, where it's like, okay, everything's peaceful for 15 years, and have the human player be like, wait, I was 45, now I'm 60.
I mean,
But
at that point, it gives them a chance to create a new character if they really want to.
so my dad was that one you guys used to travel with.
I'm his apprentice.
Yeah, create a lineage. That's
Yeah.
There you go, yeah.
And I mean, especially like you start talking about druids who have, I can't think of the name of the ability, but like timeless body or whatever,
yeah,
where
that's exactly it.
10 years counts as one, and then you talk
Mhm.
about like perfect example. My wife's druid is a gnome; they can live up to 500 years, and
Mhm.
she was only 150 when she hit 20th level druid. So now she can live for what, another 5,000 years? Like,
That's
Brilliant.
a strong druid.
like at that point, do they just curl up in a mossy bin and just be like, "I'm done with this. I quit." Like, I would not want to be that
I
old.
will die.
Like, you know, there's always the joke of like, I have watched civilizations burn and die, and it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, you have, and I don't want to be that guy.
Because
Like,
you're ancient.
yeah, like, can you imagine like being that old? Like walking into a town, they're like, "Oh yeah, 500 years of the war. This is what happened." You're like, "No, no, it's not. It's not what happened. I was there."
And then this has me thinking of Lord of the Rings. I was there.
Yeah, exactly. Or like and it's a good example of the whole, you know, survivors are the ones who write history. So, you know,
Mhm.
the victor always gets to write it, but if you're the kind of person, you know, a person who survived and was able to sneak away, you can come back and be like, yeah, that's totally not how that happened. That paints you in a real pretty light, you know. But you know, that's neither here nor there. That being said, though,
If I remember right, you fell on the ground, wet yourself, and started crying.
yeah, or one that I know you'll love, Ray, is I saw a post a while back about, can you imagine being a vampire who was always in the wrong place when things happened? Like, oh my God, you're 1,000 years old. What was the Renaissance like? I don't know. I spent 200 years stuck in a well because somebody thought I was a mysterious monster. Like, like, can you imagine
That will be
missing?
awful.
Someone shipped me to Antarctica and I turned into a popsicle. Like, what has happened?
You're older than the pyramids. What were they like? I don't know. I was in Madagascar when it happened.
I'd love to tell you what the outside looked like, but they trapped me down in the bottom of it.
That's very good.
But so I think we'll hit one last topic and then we'll wrap it up. Um, if you had to pick a certain type of character, give me like an alignment and a moral compass that you would love to role play but have never had the chance to. What would it be?
Hmm.
Yeah, see, I always have to hit you guys with a stumper at the end.
I think I'd have to go with some sort of a chaotic. I don't care if it's a chaotic good, chaotic neutral, or chaotic evil. Um, maybe a like chaotic Deadpool, just because that sounds hilariously fun.
Hmm.
He's a good guy, but he's like, a bad good guy. That just sounds like a lot of fun.
I'll
But like you
save
said
this
at the
kitten, and I don't know
beginning,
how many people have to die to do it.
exactly. But at the same time, like you said at the very beginning of the podcast, uh, because I myself am a good person and I strive to be a good person, just once I want to play that person who's just like, who are you? Why are you like this? Because it's just not me.
Yeah,
I feel it.
Agent or Ash, you guys got one that you want to play?
Um,
Putting you on the spot here.
no, it's okay. No, this is a very good question. The characters that I've played range from lawful neutral to chaotic good, um, in kind of a variation of everything in between. But I haven't played an evil character. I don't think I could play like a true chaotic evil character. I feel like that goes against who I am, and I would feel deeply uncomfortable doing that. So, what I would probably compromise in doing is a lawful evil character, which is more like I stay within the bounds of my own code of conduct, but there are less limitations for what that can be. Um, so it's like someone like the Punisher, basically. He's lawful evil. I feel like I
Yeah,
could
no, that's
probably
fair.
do something
Fair.
like that. Yeah.
Accurate.
So I had to laugh at what chat just said here. I'm sorry. I've never
That's
played
okay.
evil, so I'd want to go with chaotic evil angel, sending children's souls to heaven one decapitation at a time.
Oh my god. That's kind of great though.
It's dark, but I like it.
Yeah.
I have no words.
Uh, all right, Agent.
Oh, see, me in general, I'm always a chaotic person because I feel like I love chaos, and I love the fun that chaos ensues.
Mhm.
So the two characters I've played were both chaotic neutral. So I would probably want to do something probably lawful, just because it'd be different, but at the same time, like I try to generally like every day like be a good person. Like I try to not bad talk people, like to try to not be an asshole to people in general, unless obviously they deserve it, and then all hell breaks loose. But it just I feel like a lawful person would be it'd be fun to do the like the motions of being like the
The goody
voice of
goody two shoe.
reason. Well, the voice of reason. Like, do we really want to kill this guy? Like, we could just take him to jail. Like, he didn't do that bad of stuff. Like, he only stole and killed 2 people. We could just take him to jail. It's okay.
See, I've role played pretty much every side of the spectrum, and I tend towards chaos, as I'm sure a lot of people know. Even you, Ash, you saw with my Chad, who loved the mushrooms in the cave
Mushroom man.
So good.
on gnomes. I tend towards the chaos as well, but as much fun as it is to roleplay the lawful character every now and then, I find that I can't stick with it, and I always find a reason to let them slip into chaos a little bit.
But that's awesome though, being able to like start with something and then eke towards a different alignment during a campaign, like
Character arcs are
character
the best.
development.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So, alrighty. Well, again, thank you guys for coming and hanging out. I truly appreciate you. Sorry again for the technical difficulties we had there in the beginning. We started half hour late because everything went to hell on my end of the computer. But
It happens.
yeah,
It's cool.
but
What
Technology is
happens
great,
when you
man.
don't stream for like 3 weeks?
hey, it's been 2. Thank you. Um, yeah, unfortunately, Dark. Yes, you did come right at the end. However, if you want to come back, we're going to be doing our typical game on Saturday. Um, and then we're also going to be doing. Yes, there will be a solid VOD, and it will be on the YouTube channel, which Agent just linked for you. Um, we're going to be starting our new campaign with my IRL players Thursday of next week. That will be a reoccurring weekly game. We're going to be doing this podcast every other Tuesday, and hopefully in early October, starting another online game that'll be going on those alternate Tuesdays. So definitely stick around. There's plenty to see in this channel. And I know we've been a little lacking in content lately, but I plan to definitely change that. So if you guys want to do an outro again, shout out your channel. Ray, if you want to shout out the book that is soon to be announced, give you guys, go ahead and shout yourselves out one more time, and then I'll let you get back to whatever you're doing on this lovely evening.
Thank you. I'd love to give a shout out to the book, but I just found out that someone else released a book in the similar name not that long ago, so it is a new title in the works as well.
Ah,
Paranormal romance. I will put that out there.
I love it already.
Werewolves, witches, all that kinds of cool stuff. My pen name is Gracie Ray, so keep an eye out for that.
Amazing. I'll go next. Hi, I'm Ash. I go by Ash Rabbit here on Twitch. The stuff that we typically stream over on twitch.tv/nat20, a TTRPG themed channel that my friend Saint runs. Our main show, which is like the main game that I play in, is currently on hiatus. One of the players is going through some surgery stuff right now. He's okay, but it's enough to like knock him out for a couple weeks. So no official return date on when that's going to happen, but hopefully soon. He's recovering, so he's okay. The game that I DM, I think, let me check my calendar really quick. I believe that's going to be on Wednesday the 29th. All of our games start at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, regardless if it's our main Sunday campaign or the once monthly one that I get to do. I wish it was bi-weekly, but we have a player that's in law school who doesn't really have a whole lot of time to play.
Totally understand that.
I know. It's nuts, but we're lucky to be able to snag him for the amount of time that we do. So it's only once a month, but it gives me a lot of time to panic and then eventually come up with a plan.
The life of a
Uh,
DM.
yeah. Outside of that, I stream co-working DM prep stuff on my own channel. So thank you for shouting that out, Agent. And I'm gonna pass it over to you.
Hi, yeah, Agent. I'm General Chaos of Shrub streams on Saturdays and now Thursdays. I will be in the up and coming Tuesday games as well. I also stream here on Twitch. Agent Smartass, also everywhere. So there's that. But yeah, be sure to come around on Saturdays. It's gonna be fun. The party has a lot of fun to come and
This upcoming
enjoy this coming Saturday.
Yeah. Stick
And that
around
is
for a minute once we
9
send them out, and I will explain Ash and Ray what's going on for them this week.
That's what 9 a.m.
Yes,
PST?
9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time,
Saturday mornings.
Saturday mornings.
Just like old school cartoons back when we were kids.
Yup.
This is
Alrighty. With that, I'm gonna send you guys over to Matty Morgs. He's a D&D streamer. He does mostly content creation for D&D, but he does do the occasional game. I don't know what he's doing tonight per se, but he's also a very entertaining man, and he owns a game store. So he constantly has giveaways and stuff in his channel. If you guys are ever looking for a way to score some top tier minis for fairly inexpensive, I won this. Trying to see how well that shows up there. There we go. I won this mini out of a $5 giveaway.
Whoa.
That's cool.
So
That's awesome.
I definitely recommend checking it out. He's a great guy, great content creator. So I'm gonna send you guys over there for the night. Thank you guys for hanging out. And Dark, yes, there will be a VOD, and it will be up on the YouTube channel probably by Sunday. If you want to check that out, or hopefully by Saturday, actually. If you want to
You
check it
can
out there
even just go
instead.
back and watch it on his channel.
But yeah, you can
I'm gonna
definitely
have
watch
to
it
get
here.
on his ass about putting it on YouTube anyway.
That's
Like
the
a true
truth.
friend.
But
Yeah.
thank you for the follow, man. So alright, we'll send you guys out over there. But remember, until next time, keep rolling those 20s. Oh, the raid work? The raid's not working. Yes, it is working. Okay, there we go. Alrighty, I'm gonna send you guys there. Have a good one.
Let's do it.
There goes.